Are you sad? Anxious? Stuck in your childhood patterns again? Don't wait. Call now to book a 50-minute transformation session with me, your local licensed therapist. With just one session per week for the rest of your natural life, you too can overcome your deepest fears, process your trauma, and finally become the emotionally stable adults your parents always hoped you would be. But wait, there's more. If you call in the next 10 minutes, we'll throw in free validation and a custom breathing exercise. That's a $3,000 value, absolutely free. So what are you waiting for? Get off the couch and call now. Therapy, it's not just a want, it's a copay. Okay, obviously therapy doesn't look like that. I'm just having a little bit of fun with these skits, but sometimes marketing our practice can kind of feel like a sleazy, salesy infomercial. And it can be really tricky to find the balance between marketing our practice while staying authentic, because we all know it does not feel authentic to say, buy now in 3 easy installments. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about this a little more. Over the almost 7 years that I've been making these videos, oh my goodness, I feel old. I have touched on marketing your therapy practice from so many angles, and yet still, as I talk to therapists, oftentimes the biggest roadblocks are much bigger, much more emotional than simply like, I don't have quite the right steps in place to market my practice. And there's an aspect of this that I'd like to focus on specifically today. And it's this idea that, when we market anything, whether it's, a cool shoe or, something else, you have to show off the product. Like if let's pretend I was trying to sell you my phone instead of therapy services, I might want to tell you about how awesome this phone is, what all of its features are, how it makes my life easier or just benefits me in some way. And I'm going to share, hopefully authentically, about all of those things to say, life is easier with this phone. I'm glad I have it and you probably want it too. Here's the thing. With therapy, the therapy services are the product, but on a deeper level, like we are the product. And what a vulnerable thing. It's not like pulling out an object like a phone and saying, check out how cool this is. It's amazing. Let me explain how amazing it is. It can start to sound a little more like, check out how awesome I am. I'm amazing. I can help you. Here's all the ways that I'm amazing and that interacting with me could really benefit you. And that's not what we're doing. Obviously, that's not what we're trying to do, but there is truth in it to say, well, we have to have enough trust in ourselves, in our abilities, our capacity to take good care of our clients, to be able to put ourselves out there and say, actually, yeah, I think I have the skills needed to help you. And I am the product. I've definitely talked before about how we are our brand as a therapist and all of those things before, but to really frame it as like me, Marie Fang, like I am the product that I am selling to potential clients before they reach out to me. It is like I'm disclosing to you, like I feel uncomfortable saying that. I think that is likely an appropriate response to say like that. Feels weird. That feels weird. I am a product that I am selling to you. But genuinely, if you think you can help people, there has to be some way for those people to find you, and there has to be some way for you to genuinely and authentically present your capacity to help folks without it feeling like you're just jumping into that super sleazy infomercial state of mind and being super inauthentic. So I just want to acknowledge that because we're not advertising a product like this phone that I'm holding in my hand, it feels incredibly vulnerable to advertise our services as a therapist. And I want to talk about that today because it is so vulnerable to advertise ourselves as the product. Let's be real. Then I see a lot of therapists try to cope in different ways. Some of us find ways to just minimize how much we put ourselves out there. Maybe it's like we slap on, an online directory profile where we name who we work with and some favorite theoretical approaches, and then just, hope we fill our practice, or we panel with insurance, or, not that there's nothing wrong with those two things, by the way. But we try to cope by maybe just not putting ourselves out there too much, and then just hope that people will find us. And if that's what you're doing and it's working for you, awesome. I just know that that's not working for everyone. It doesn't work for me. So another way that people cope is leaning heavily into credentials, expertise, trainings, which again, those are all great things. We should definitely all be trained to do what it is that we say that we do. But sometimes, because we don't want to be overly vulnerable about sharing about ourselves or aspects of our character, we will focus more on aspects of like what sorts of trainings that we have. And maybe we might even lean further into a training than we otherwise might have, because we see it more as like a marketing approach versus, something that we genuinely would like to learn more about, specialize in, utilize in our practices. We're hoping that if we get that, certain level of certification, that now more folks will book with us, and kind of emphasizing all of that in our marketing materials. There are definitely other ways that therapists sort of skirt around the vulnerability of advertising ourselves as a product. Like therapists might mention more so like how long they've been in this field, how many folks they've worked with, or maybe the sorts of transformations that they've witnessed their clients go through. And all of those things have a place in our marketing materials, but it still doesn't speak to like me sharing, like I am the product. I am here to help you. I have all these different tools, skills, gifts, etc. that are going to help you. So given all that, I wanted to make some space today to talk about some of the most common barriers that I hear from therapists getting in the way from us putting our authentic selves out there in our marketing materials, and just at the very least speak to them, normalize them, and offer some tips as we go. One thing that I hear so often is, I have nothing special to offer. Like, I'm just kind of Joe Schmo therapist. I have all my qualifications. I am licensed, or, if you're training, you have everything you need to offer the care that you are offering. But there's nothing that makes me special, or I don't have anything unique to offer. And so shouldn't I just then disclose what services I offer, who I work with, and not necessarily name anything about me or anything that would be unique to the relationship that I'd build with my clients? And to that, I say, that's not true. I don't know you, but I know it's not true, okay? We all have our own unique takes, our things that make us human. And so even though you may have gotten the exact same training or credentialing or whatever as a gajillion other therapists, you are still you. And since we are an important part of the product we are selling to potential clients, it's important to say a bit about us. You don't have to have a superhuman special power. You don't have to have the most epic, amazing story of redemption. You don't have to have anything quote unquote special. Just you being you is special, is unique, because you're the only you in the entire universe. We know this because we like to teach our clients about this, right? So I'm not saying that you should then make yourself to be more special than anybody else, but you are just as special and as unique as everybody else. And so it is quite valuable to find what those things are that make you you, and not just a cookie cutter version of every other human. But you are you, and every human has their own unique set of things that make them special. Can you use that lens when you think about how to approach your marketing materials? Another common disruption, roadblock that I see come up is people saying like, well, if they really knew me, then they would run in the opposite direction. This is a topic I've been touching on the last couple of episodes because it does feel so important that we normalize that therapists are just as human as everybody else. We have the same kinds of hangups, bad habits, addictions, mental health concerns, relational issues, and you name it. as anybody else. Systemically, like this is messaging that's in the air amongst therapists that we need to like have our stuff together first before we can help people. I kind of think of it like this, like if you have somebody coming to visit your home, if it's somebody you're super, super close with or somebody you live with, you might not make any effort to like contain your mess. It might just sort of be everywhere. But if you have like a special guest visiting, you might put your mess like maybe consolidated in like the other room or a closet, or at the very least like scooch it into a corner. And if you're able to, at the very least, kind of contain your mess so that the space is available for your clients to take up as much space as they need without feeling like your mess is a distraction or getting in the way, then I think you're winning, right? So it's not a question of like, do I have a mess-free internal world, and more of a question of like, can I contain my mess so that when it's me and my client, my mess is not in the room with us. It can hang out somewhere else. I'm gonna have to deal with it later or repress it later, whatever it is that I do with it later. But right now, it's not encroaching on our space. And if it is an issue where your mess is encroaching and like avalanching into the therapy session, then that is a scenario absolutely where it's so important that you take space, make sure that you are, finding resources to help you take care of that mess a little bit before you take care of your clients. Another variable that can impede us like being a little bit more vulnerable or authentic in our marketing is just if we look around at the therapists in our immediate circles, whether it's coworkers or, our cohort or consult group, whomever, and see that they seem like more kind of professional or academic, not particularly vulnerable in their marketing materials, and think like, okay, well, like, am I not supposed to do that then? Or maybe even, are they going to judge me? Are they going to not send referrals to me if I show who I really am in my marketing materials? And that kind of taking over, of kind of making sure you almost fit the mold of whatever the expectations are in your circle. To that, I'd say, like, if you are fitting the mold, but your practice still isn't filling up, at the very least, something is needing to change. And I would hate if the reason why your practice didn't fill up is only because you didn't want to like stir the pot with your colleagues, with your cohort, with your peers. And yeah, maybe they have a different way that is working for them, but like ultimately it's you and your practice and your bills that need to be paid and all of that, and you that you're representing. So yeah, I know that one's not easy, and there may be people who do judge you. It may still be worth considering whether it better aligns with you to stick with more status quo versus potentially stir the pot, but be more aligned with who you are and potentially fill your practice a little bit more easily. Another common concern that folks have is that like, I don't want to overshare. I don't want to make this about me. And to that, I say that part of you that has that response is a healthy part of your therapist self saying, we're not here to talk about me in therapy. We're here to talk about my client. And absolutely, when your client sits down and starts working with you, you're not sitting down saying like, let me tell you my story. And because the product is the relationship, I know I kind of changed it earlier. I said that the product is you, but ultimately the product is the therapeutic relationship. But when you're putting yourself out there in the marketing materials, like you don't know that client yet, that individual, that couple, that child. You don't know them. So you can't say, hey, Marie Fang, I see your set of concerns and let's talk about the therapeutic relationship that we can build together. It's like, hey, world, I'm hoping maybe we can build a relationship together, but I can't tell you what that's going to look like because I don't know you yet, person reading this or hearing this or seeing this. So what I can tell you is a little bit about me, and then the ball is in your court to determine if there's enough there for you to say that like you might trust me enough to reach out for that initial, email, that initial phone call, that initial 15-minute consultation to see if you trust me enough then to schedule a first appointment with me. We're not asking somebody to commit to, long-term therapy or anything like that, but we're trying to put enough of ourselves out there to help our ideal clients see what we have out there and say, this is enough for me to think that I might be able to build a trusting relationship with this person, at least enough for me to be willing to reach out to them for whatever the small next step is to find out more. So from that lens, if you're concerned about like oversharing or making it too much about you, maybe think of it like that. Like, how much do I need to put out there, and what specifically would help potential clients answer the question of like, can I build trust with this person? And the answer isn't by saying like, hey, listen, you can trust me, right? It's by delivering aspects about who you are, how you interact with your clients, why this work is important to you. And there's other variables as well, but that might be the lens to kind of check in marketing materials to say like, how much self-disclosure do I want to put out there? How much of actual me do I want to show so that potential clients can build enough trust with me to say like, I'd like to reach out to learn a little bit more. And the last, but maybe one of the loudest pieces that I hear is just like how much shame we can have around being vulnerable. And now we're not just being vulnerable with like our close friend or our partner or, one-on-one with somebody, but we are putting it out there in potentially like public marketing materials for everyone to see potentially. And that is scary. That is scary. And again, if you feel that way, I say to you, that is healthy and appropriate to feel scared. That is a normal human reaction. And if you don't feel scared, that's totally fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that either. But it's going to be quite common for people to say like, that's scary. I don't know if I want to put myself out there that much. So that's a question that you have to kind of check in with yourself. It's not for me to tell you how much of yourself you need to feel comfortable enough to put out there. But I just want to validate that, yeah, it is a scary thing. Now, I get that this wasn't like the 3-step plan to be more effective in your marketing strategy or to be more vulnerable in your marketing strategy, but I hope that this was a useful, nuanced conversation. And I hope that if you're feeling stuck on this of like how to market yourself or how to market authentically, that some of the things that I shared in here can help kind of get the ball rolling or, continue fanning the ball rolling further to have this conversation elsewhere or kind of get your thought juices flowing so that you can think about it from a new perspective, from a new lens. And something that I really hope I've made clear throughout today's episode is that marketing your practice with your vulnerable self is not about burying your soul for the entire world to see, but more about finding appropriate ways to insert your humanness into your marketing materials so that your ideal clients can see that and connect with that and feel a sense of like, I might be able to build a trusting, safe relationship with this person. And if this whole thing just feels totally overwhelming, you don't even know where to start, then here's a little encouragement for you. You don't have to get it perfect. And just find like one tiny, manageable way to show up authentically in your marketing materials. It could be like the smallest thing, but just like try it on a little bit. Like maybe it's that like you have sort of a goofy sense of humor. I don't know. You love this like goofy fringe movie or something. And you put that somewhere in your marketing materials. Like it could be something very small and lighthearted, but I get that if it's terrifying, it doesn't feel small and lighthearted. So just find a small bite-sized way to challenge yourself to lean in a little bit. See what it's like. It might feel good. You might like it. Just see. And before we close, I'd like to thank TherapyNotes.com for sponsoring today's video. TherapyNotes helps with all of your practice management needs, scheduling, notes, billing, the things we'd expect. And they also have a suite of AI features available now to streamline your note-taking process. If you'd like to check out TherapyNotes, you can get 2 months to try it for free with no commitment just by clicking the link in the description of this video. Well, I hope you found this episode helpful no matter where you are in your private practice journey, no matter what your marketing approach is to filling your practice. I just want you to feel supported. So that's the goal. So wherever you're at, I hope that comes through. And until next time, from one therapist to another, I wish you well.